Thanks for joining us today. I'm Chris Bailey with the Calley Insurance Agency. I'm here with Juana Weitzel of Susquehanna Valley Diagnostic Imaging, also known as SVDI. We've become big fans of SVDI for many reasons, one of which is Juana, but also because they're a very high quality, low cost provider. And with all the different insurance plans that are out there today, it's important that people know what their options are. And SVDI is a great option for individuals in this region. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that today, about what SVDI has to offer and how easy it is to come here and have your services provided. So thanks so much for joining us today.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's great to have you here. So SVDI, I know you've been here a little while. What's your history with Susquehanna Valley Diagnostic Imaging?
I actually started this 11 years ago. I've been here since day one.
Wow.
So we've been here for 11 years. We're a full service accredited imaging center with the American College of Radiology. So we perform MRIs, CAT scans, X-ray, bone densitometry, mammography, and ultrasound.
Wow.
So we have everything here all under one roof. Parking is right out front. If you call here to schedule an appointment, you actually get to talk to somebody. We schedule you right away while you're on the phone. You don't get transferred to essential scheduling, anything like that. We take almost every insurance. I honestly don't think that there's any that I don't participate in that I can think of off the top of my head. I think we actually take every insurance. We have self-pay rates here that are the lowest in anywhere that I know of. I don't know anybody that's lower if you would not happen to have insurance. And it's right on our website, you can look it up. If you have insurance, it kind of gives you a guide, that self-pay rate, as to what you will pay. It will actually be less than that self-pay rate. So you will never pay more.
So the self-pay rate is the ceiling?
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah, so say you need an MRI of your lumbar spine, the self-pay rate is, say, $500. You will not pay more than $500 through your insurance company for that.
Great. Well, good to know. And I've seen the self-pay rates, and I'm familiar with what some insurance companies pay other providers in the region, and the self-pay rates are typically a relatively small fraction of what's actually paid to other providers in the region, taking the charge out of the equation, actually what ends up being paid. So yeah, it is obviously a very low cost facility. What about the equipment that you have here? You went through a lot of very high level imaging services you provide. Can you tell us a little bit about the equipment?
Yes. So everything here is General Electric GE equipment. It's all serviced by GE engineers. We do not outsource our servicing. We are held to the same standards as any hospital. We go through the American College of Radiology, where we have to get every single piece of equipment certified. And we've passed that every single year. It's every 3 years you have to do that, except mammography is, that's run by the state, so that's every year through the state plus the ACR. So that actually gets 2 different certifications. We always pass with flying colors. There's really no difference in our equipment than anybody else. We do update the equipment. We update the software on the equipment. That's the most important thing, is your software on your equipment. That's what keeps it running faster, running smoother, keeps it up to date. Our radiologist here, we have 2 radiologists, and it's Dr. Reinhouse and Dr. Biondo Savin. They have been around quite a long time. I've worked with Dr. Reinhouse for years. He is an excellent radiologist. He's our main radiologist. His turnaround times on average is a 2-hour turnaround time for your report. If it's a stat, it's less than 30 minutes.
Wow, that's fantastic. So if I'm a patient and if I'm seeing a physician, a specialist, an orthopedic specialist, and says, boy, I'd really like to get an MRI of your lumbar spine. Typically, that specialist may be affiliated, with a hospital or health system, and their typical referral pattern might be to the hospital or health system. If I, as the patient, being aware of SVDI, would prefer to have SVDI perform that procedure, what would I need to ask of my provider?
The patient always has a choice to where to go, whether they think they do or they don't. They always do, because I know it is very hard when you're sitting in front of the doctor and they're telling you where they want you to go. You always have a choice. What I tell the patients is, you can either just get the script yourself.
Mm-hmm.
They can hand you a copy, just tell them that's what you want, and that you're going to call here. Even if the doctor says, no, I'm going to schedule you here, the patient can always change that. They can call here and say, hey, I had an appointment with Dr. So-and-so, and they can give us the number. We'll call, we'll have the doctor fax it to us, and then we'll take over from there.
Oh, wow. Okay.
We'll talk to the doctor's office about pre-certification. If the insurance needs a pre-certification, we'll give them our tax ID. That's the kind of things that they need to get it pre-certed.
Okay.
We take over so the patient kind of doesn't have to be in the middle anymore.
Great.
We do that a lot. I know sometimes the doctors say they can't see our images. There's so many different things that patients get told. They just don't understand. The patient can always leave here with a CD.
Okay.
However, if it happens to be a Geisinger or UPMC doctor, which is very common in this area, it's just a very common orthopedic doctor, specialist. It's just a big hospital to go to, plus UPMC and Williamsport. That's another big hospital. That's a common referral source that we have. We can easily electronically send those images. We actually have a system called Life Image. We hit a button, send your images, and it will go right into your electronic health records. So any doctor in the Geisinger system or UPMC, whichever one you want us to send it to, it'll go right into their account and they can look at it as if it was done there. It will pop up so they can see it.
Okay, that's great. And for a physician that maybe isn't part of one of those systems that you just mentioned, a patient could leave here with a CD to share with their provider?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's great. You use the term "we" on several occasions. That means that you've got a staff of people here. Could you tell us a little bit about your team?
Yes. So everyone here is very well qualified. They have been in their field for a long time. I have been doing this for 27 years. And I do CT, MRI, bone density, and X-ray. Allison is my MRI tech mainly. She's been doing it for 30 years. And she also does CT as well, and she can also do X-ray. Cindy is my ultrasound tech, and she has been an ultrasound tech for over 30 years. Megan is my other ultrasound tech, and she's been doing ultrasound for, I'd say, about at least 8 years now. And then we have a mammo tech here. Her name is Madison. She actually has been in X-ray for about 3 years, but doing mammo for over a year now. I have two X-ray techs, and they both have been in X-ray for over 5 years each, at least. So we have a diverse group here. And we all can do multi-modalities. We can kind of swap in and out of modalities.
Great.
And we're all certified in those modalities that we go into.
That's wonderful. What are your hours of operation here?
Monday through Friday from 8 to 5.
Okay.
And all the modalities are appointments. However, if there is a stat, we will always work that in if a doctor's office has a stat. And X-ray is walk-in. They do not need an appointment for an X-ray.
Okay.
They just need the script from the doctor.
Very good. So do you have any specific examples of an encounter with a patient that maybe benefited from coming here to SVDI?
Yes. So I had a patient the other day that had called to get a CAT scan of their abdomen and pelvis, and with contrast. And they wanted a self-pay rate. Although they did have insurance, sometimes it's confusing for patients to understand. Sometimes they think, if I don't use my insurance, I'm going to save money. Because they don't understand, they think it's going to be cheaper.
Okay.
I always say to use the insurance. You want to use the insurance because it eats up your deductible. You choose that up a little bit, and it will probably cost you less money, which it will. It's just that, again, we probably need a pre-certification, but we can always get that through the doctor's office. And they had said that they were quoted from a hospital that it was going to be $10,000, which they had a $10,000 deductible. And I said, well, you're going to meet your entire deductible, whereas if you would come here, it's going to be less than $650 for you to come here and that it would eat up $650 of your deductible,
Sure,
but
yeah.
not $10,000. So they did come here, and it was around $480, I think, for them to come here to get that CAT scan, where it would have been close to $10,000 at the hospital.
Wow. So the cash price listed on your website would have been $650.
Right.
What the insurance contract with you was closer to $480 in that particular instance.
Right,
Okay.
right. A lot of times doctors' offices think, oh, that know we're here. I'm going to send my MRIs and my CAT scans here because my patients can save so much money, when in reality, your patients can just save money by x-rays, ultrasounds. So I have reached out now to that doctor's office and said, hey, your patients can save a lot of money as well on the ultrasound. And I told them the example and said how much it was, the difference was. So again, it's just it is confusing. It's confusing to know your insurance. It's confusing to understand why it's such a difference from one location to another. It is very confusing. So even doctors' offices don't fully understand, what can happen. I have had patients that they went to the hospital for an X-ray of their knee, and it was $800, and the X-ray here was $45, I think, something around that figure.
Does that include the reading of the X-ray?
Yes, that is another thing. We bill globally here, so everything includes the reading of the X-ray, MRI, CAT scan, whatever you have, which I am finding that even the self-pay rates that some patients are getting from other places may be close to ours, because they are trying to compete.
Wow.
However, it does not include the read, where that can be an additional few $100s on top of what you're being quoted. And they won't tell you that because that does change. It depends who's reading it, where it's going, that kind of thing, what those charges are. And it does vary for the study that you're getting.
Gotcha. Interesting. There are some procedures that you can't do here because of the equipment, right? Are there some MRIs that just absolutely have to be done, or are there some?
Well, we don't do breast MRI here.
Okay.
We don't have the coil for it. We don't do PET scans here. Just
No PET scans. Okay. That's interesting.
We don't do nuclear.
I don't know that I knew that. So.
We don't do nuclear or PET scans because the isotopes are so very expensive. The reimbursements for a privately owned imaging center, and then if the patient doesn't show up or can't have the test, the isotope dies, and then you're just out the mine totally.
Oh wow.
So
Interesting.
So we just never.
Do you ever do like surveys and do you have patient satisfactions or?
Yeah, we have to do patient satisfaction surveys for some insurances.
Do you, off the top of your head, know what those results are?
I cannot recall any unsatisfied patients.
Great. A lot of return customers then. Once they learn of you and come here, they come back.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not surprising. Do you have any idea what the average wait time is on an average day? If someone has a 1 o'clock appointment, do they usually get in at 1? Do they have to wait till 2:30?
Yeah, no, we're almost always running on time.
Okay.
It is very rare that we're not on time. The only time that we wouldn't be is if we had a stat, like we had an emergency that we had to get in. We always try to call a patient ahead of time, but it is very rare, even if we have a stat, like if it's a CAT scans are quick. Most of the studies we do are quick. It's the MRI that you might have to wait up to 30 minutes if we would have an add-on stat, but that's very rare.
Okay. Is there an age range of patients? I mean, can it be an infant?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really? Wow.
All the way to any age.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay, so once again, to recap, the services available here, and you fill in what I miss.
Okay.
Ultrasound, X-ray, MRI, CT, mammogram.
Mm-hmm.
What am I missing?
Bone density.
Bone density.
Yes.
I got 5 out of 6?
That's pretty good.
Wow, thanks.
Very good.
I had a good teacher.
That's pretty good.
Any other thoughts about the facility? Anything that you want to make sure that you share and the community at large is aware of?
No, I mean, it's very easy to get here. It's right off of Route 80. It's easy to park. You don't have to walk. You can park right in front of our door. You don't have to do central scheduling. We answer the phone. A lot of times you're actually just going to talk to the tech that's going to do your test. If somebody calls here for an MRI, you're probably going to talk to the MRI tech who's going to schedule you and go over the necessary question that needs to be answered for you to get the test. We do offer, if we have an opening and you want to come that day, we'll get you in that day.
Wow.
If we have an opening, as long as you have the pre-certifications
Sure.
and all that needs to be done with your insurance, or, you know, the next day. We'll always try to work with patients to try to get them in as quick as they want to come in
That's fantastic.
and try to work around their schedule. For patients that are claustrophobic for MRI, we do offer Valium. That does get 99% of the patients through the MRI. You just have to come 45 minutes before and bring a driver.
Okay.
So we
Well,
can
that's good
give
to
you,
know.
you know, a little bit of a sedative. It does not put you to sleep. Some patients go to sleep, but it just relaxes you enough that you can make it through your MRI.
Wow. Oh, that's great. Wonderful. I appreciate your time. I know you're very busy. Thanks so much for taking the time to educate me and educate anybody who's going to be watching this. And like I said, I've always been a huge proponent. Really appreciate what you do and how cost effective it truly is. It's a wonderful facility and underutilized. So
Thank
we
you.
want to make sure that the community at large is aware. So thank you so much.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it.